go ahead and get started, if everybody's okay. So if I haven't introduced myself so far, my name is Alex. I'm one of the elders here at Lincoln Community Bible Church. Along with Chuck, we would have decided that this would be a great idea. I know that Greek is a language that we use a lot, especially you hear me talk about it a lot. You hear it talked and spoken of and a lot of systematic theology stuff, but there's a point where it seems mystical almost, where you can't learn the language. So I hope that I can resolve some of that by at least getting us to the point where we can learn how to use a lexicon. So I want to be clear about what I'm trying to do for the next 4 weeks. So this is not a complete and full academic Greek class. I'm afraid that would take more than 4 weeks to teach. That would take a good semester or more. I took several semesters and I'm still very bad at it, I promise you. I'm still the lowest guy on the totem pole in most circles that would consider themselves Greek literate. So the purpose of this is not to teach Greek academically. It's to hopefully get us to a point where we can read it. Where you can read the letters, sound the letters. If I wrote a word up here, that we can sound it out. And also so how we can look it up in various lexicons, and there are tools that are available where the translation is made clear. So hopefully in a lexicon or a reference such as a Strong's Reference Dictionary, you would be able to identify a lot more analytically how the words are used. So that's my goal for the next 4 months. So I'm going to pray in just a minute, but to that I want to say two things, and that's that there's kind of two different schools of thought of doing this. I know there are some people here that really want to learn the language, that really desire to learn all of it and learn and be able to read Greek fluently. So I have stuff here for those guys. And then I have for those that are just observing. That's awesome. I'm glad that you could be here, but there is an optional homework. Let's put it that way. So for those that would like to take something home and learn it better, this is essentially going to be, you're going to get out of it what you put into it, ultimately, when it comes to this language. So just want to let that be stated. So that being said, I'm just going to open us in prayer, and then we will get to it. Dear Father, we thank you that we live in such a time and a place where you have not only made your word apparent, you've not only given us your word, but in addition to that, you've given us so many resources and so many additional curricular activities and things that we can use to understand your word at a greater level and at a deeper level. And the language of Greek being one of those, not just that it can remain a mystery to us, but that we can understand it in its original language as you meant it to be written and meant it to be understood. So I praise you for that. Thank you for all that you've given us this night. I pray that you would make the coming weeks beneficial towards us, that we would be a people that use this and that wish to benefit from this so that we can greater understand your glory and your wisdom and your sovereignty. And I pray this in Christ's most holy and precious name. Amen.
Amen.
All right. This first week, we are not going to have any lexicons yet for a couple reasons. The first one being that I want us all to at least be able to read the words. So that's the goal. And for that, I'm going to pass these out. If I can have somebody pass these out. Maya, you're elected. Would you please just... This is chapter 1 of the Gospel of John in Greek. What I'm passing out right now. And I'm hoping that we can start generally... I'm sorry, Maya, let me grab one too. Just want to make sure I don't mess up if I try to spit it from memory. Please, come on in. By all means. So the idea here... Sure, thank you.
That's great. You're really stuck.
My goal is to hopefully get us to a point where we can read some of these words. So that's the goal. So I'm going to have Maya pass these out, and I'm going to pray that we can all kind of see who here would like to argue that they know the alphabet. I know some of you have already done some work. Calling somebody to name some letters.
Oh, what's the camera?
Who's got some letters? Rebecca, name some letters. Give me just a couple letters. Yeah, that works. What's this letter? Alpha.
That's right, I'll reset.
That's good.
I've already messed it up.
Twist it a little bit.
I'm going to tell you guys
Yeah,
right
I'm good.
now. I'm going to give you my disclaimer right now. My writing is horrible. And it is terrible and it is horrible. And I blame part of that from having to write in 3 languages all day. So I sit there and I write something in English, and go back to Greek, and I go back to Greek, and I go back to English. And my writing is horrible and I'm sorry. Yeah, I know. That also is part of it. That I have to use the wrong hand.
Does everyone have one or have someone to share with? You guys?
We're good.
This is alpha. What's the next one?
Beta.
Beta. Excellent. What else we got?
Yeah.
Gamma.
Delta.
Delta. Nope. What else?
Epsilon.
Epsilon. Zeta. Next. Eta. You got a cheat sheet somewhere?
Beta.
Nobody's cheating, right?
No, I'm not cheating. I'm not
Nobody's cheating.
Iota.
What else we got?
Iota.
Iota.
One of my world.
Next.
Kappa.
Kappa. Next. Lambda. That was tricky.
Mu. Nu.
Mu. Just like a cow. Mu. Nu. Next. C. This is, yeah, it's kind of difficult. C. XI. Next. Omicron. Omicron. It's okay. That's what we're here. We're going to talk about pronunciation. That's the purpose. Next.
Pi.
Pi. I know in math you learned it's pi. In Greek it's technically p. Big deal. Just pronunciation. P. Rho. What's next? Sigma. Now this one, you probably see that there's 2. And the reason for that is because you can even look here on your sheet. Let's look at, if you have first the copy of the Gospel of John in front of you, this first verse here, in arche and logos, that 5th word is logos. And you'll see that there's a sigma at the end of the 5th word, and it looks like an English S, doesn't it? That does look like an English S.
Which way?
Which way?
Look at the pie.
You read from left to right. Yeah, I'm sorry. This is not Hebrew. You do read from left to right. Hebrew is a whole other ballgame. But here you read from left to right. So logos. This is a sigma. And if I put it, but if it's in the middle of a word, it's going to appear as that. So let's do this. This is a word. This is the sigma right here. If it appears in the center or the middle of a word, the only time you're going to see this letter, this actual English-looking S, is at the end of the word. That's what a sigma is. So it has 2 forms. So in general, that's just something we have to know about the sigma. What's the next letter? After sigma? Tau. Tau. T-A-U. Tau. Next? Upsilon. Upsilon. Next? Phi. P-H-I. Phi. Key. Next? C. P-S-I. C. And then Omega. Thus, when Christ says he is the Alpha and the Omega, he's the beginning and the end. So that's where we derive that statement in Revelation. So it is not as important that we learn the proper names of each letter. That's not quite as critical. It helps, but what's more important is that we learn how to sound out each one of these letters. So that's my goal this week. We're going to get to lexicons, I promise, but this week I want us to be able to try and read the words. So this one, I'm going to go through the sound each one makes, and it should be on your sheet here. The last column over on your Greek alphabet chart. Does everyone have a Greek alphabet chart?
No.
Okay.
Oh, there we go.
On our phone.
You can email mine.
I have one here.
If you don't have one, if you would like, I can email them to you, or you can take these by all means. And if you look here, this is essentially going to be part of your homework if you want to take homework. This gives you the lowercase letter as the first column. That's the most important letter. The second column over is the capital letters. That is less than 5% of the New Testament. It is not as critical that you identify the capital letters. It's much more important that you know lowercase. 95% of it is written in lowercase. So that is the capital letter for reference. It is the second column over. And obviously you have the name of the letter. You have the English letter it represents, or it is closest to. And then that final column is the pronunciation. So these are how the various letters are pronounced. Alpha is just ah. It is as in father. There is no long or short pronunciation in Greek per se. They have individual letters for that. So it'll always be ah. So alpha is ah. Beta is b, of course. Gamma is g. It is always going to be a hard G. There's no soft G or J sound in Greek. It's going to be always g, gamma. Delta is D, of course, D. Epsilon is E, of course. It'll be a short E sound. It's always going to be the short vowel. You have Zeta, Z, which is just a Z. Eta is your long A sound, so that's how they make up for the differences in the sound. So alpha doesn't have a long A. This is the long A. This makes the long A sound. A, eta. Then you have theta, which is of course a TH. You have iota, which is an I, kappa, K, hard K. Lambda, which is L, which is the simple L. You have M, M. You have an N, nu, N. Just makes that N as in, what does he have here? Number. You have C. This is a rare letter, but it does appear, and it just has an X sound. X. Omicron is the O, and it sounds exactly like alpha. These are exactly the same in terms of their sound, in terms of how they sound. Ah and ah. Alpha and Omicron sound exactly the same in that regard. Then you have P, pi, P. Rho is R, so R, simple R sound. Sigma is of your S. T, tau. Upsilon is U, of course. Phi, the same thing. PH, Ki, another hard K sound. C, very similar to the X, but it's just that kind of sound. And then you have omega, which is actually your long O. O. Omega is the hard O sound. So, that makes sense for the most part so far. Everybody still with me? Okay. So, let's have fun sounding out words. There's the first word in the Gospel of John. What is it? Pronounce it. Anybody? N. E-N. N. The next word, arche. So, R-K. Then, let's go to the next word. Anyone would like to read the third word? Remember? Okay, so there's two letters, right? Third word, we're going for the top column, the top row, excuse me. Third word. What's those two letters? Yeah, we got our eta. And you have the new. Right? So it would be ain. Very simple. Ain. Right now we're just working on sounding them out. That's my goal. Just how to pronounce the word. And then you have just a one-letter word. Ha. Ha. Just this is a O. Omicron. Ah. And then logos. Logos. All right.
Was that not the word barometers you were telling us the other week?
It's related to that. It is the word. It is the word for word. It is just right now. This is what's John 1:1 say?
The
Anybody?
beginning was the word, and the word was not the word.
In the beginning was the word. That's what we just pronounced. NRK, hein, halagos. Now, I'll put some more words up here that are not in front of you. We're going to see how well we do in pronunciation. So, let's do a very common word. I'm sorry, I realize you may not be able to see it. I'm going to erase this now, because this is your cheat sheet.
How about
Let's do this. This is the word right here. How do you pronounce that? Theos. Anybody? Bonus points. Go to Theos. God. There you go. You're reading Greek. Let's see. Let's do another word here. Just got dust all over my head. Let's do. Sorry, that's a row. That's an R. What is this word?
Alex?
What?
Oh, no, you're recording.
What's this? Anyone like to take a hack at this word? So, this letter here. What's this letter? Right? I got an A. Ka. I got a row. Card. Card. Charis. Charis. So your word charisma. Grace. It's a simple word for grace. Charis means grace. I'm going to erase this and make more room for myself. All right. Okay. You don't want to take a hack at this word.
How would you say if it's P and N? We have P.
Well, you're not in the letter itself. It's just a sound. There is no I. That's just the name of the letter. Pistis. Pistis is faith. Let's do. Here we go. This is a good one. Anybody? Anybody? Okay, so we got a K. What sound do we have here? Right. Then we have U, ku, right? We got R, kur, kurios. So we got kurios. Tracking so far? Kurios. Kurios is Lord. It is the simple title that's ascribed to Christ. Lord. He's the Lord. Let's see here. What else can we do? All right. Portion of a sentence up here. And we'll see if we can decipher. Or at least read it. Okay, so let's start here. So, what is this word? Kai. If you wanna cheat sheet on working ahead, this is those simple words you're gonna see in your New Testament. And also. Yes.
You got a straight letter. I don't have a straight letter. They got a little curve.
The straight letter. This letter right here.
Yeah.
That's the letter iota. So that's the I. Yeah, and I'm sorry. Everybody does this different. They don't put the little tail in the end.
I got it.
It properly does have a little tail in the end, but that's iota. So this is pronounced Kai, right? K-A-I, Kai. Then you have one letter. Ha.
Logos.
Logos,
Logos, and Theos.
pain, theos. So, you have here, and the Word was God. So far, we track it for the most part in terms of pronunciation. Okay. But there's another thing, I will say this up front. I realize I only have 4 weeks to do this, so if we don't master this in a month, please don't be worried. If you would like to do this more, if you want to learn more about this, please let me know. I will make time, we will find time, we'll make time and tutoring and teaching whatever available necessary. If you truly want to learn and you realize, oh man, I gotta learn this in 4 weeks, don't be discouraged, don't be stressed out, that's okay. We can take all the time we need to learn this. This is just the only, eventually I have to go back to teaching scripture in March, but if you want to learn more about this, you only have one class to do it in, don't be scared, it's okay. We will teach as much as we need to, I'll make time for you as much as we need to. Or I'll send you whatever we need. So, this is pronunciation. Now, I want to very quickly look at the only other thing that's really important on this alphabet chart that you have. So you'll notice there's all this information on the bottom. We've got all kinds of stuff. We got breathing marks, we have accents, we have combinations and iota subscripts. None of this is very important right now. What is important is the alphabet and also the diphthongs. They're called diphthongs right here. A diphthong is a combination of letters, just like we have in English, that makes a certain sound. You combine OU together in English, you don't say OU, we say OO, right? So, in English, we just simply have combinations of letters that we group together. Greek has the same thing. This will help with your pronunciation. So, and in fact, on top of that, when you see these diphthongs, this is important to pronunciation. You probably, if you want to take it further, this is something you need to know. But you really don't need to learn. You can take out the bottom one. The bottom one happens maybe twice in the Greek New Testament. That's not critical to learning this language. What is critical is every one of them except those. So I'm going to write those out for you so we know what those combination letters make. But just so that we're clear, what sound does this letter make? Ah. What sound does this letter make? La. Yeah. What sound does this letter make? G. Right. What sound does this letter make? Ah. The exact same sound as this one. You're right. What about this letter right here? In. Yeah, it's an N. By far, I will tell you, when I was learning Greek, the hardest part for me was figuring out that the V is an N. I'll sit there, they would make us read pages and pages of it, even if you didn't understand it, just to get used to pronouncing it. And you just, every time you see it, you see V. And you go, oh. If you do that, you're exactly like me. All the time. There's some letters, and also the fact that the P is the R, isn't it? So there are some differences. You're going to have to get used to looking at some letters that we see differently in English, such as the fact that the rho, the R sound, looks like RP, etc. So and that's just something that goes away with time. If you read enough of it, if you see enough of it, you build that, just like learning any other vocabulary in any other language. But I'm going to write the diphthongs up here. So, a very simple one, AI. So you don't say IE, you say I. And I mean, a lot of these make a lot of sense in English, don't they? We see most of these in English, so there's not a massive jump here. This may be the biggest jump, the fact that epsilon iota is an A. It's a long A sound. So this equals R long A. This equals R long I.
So it would be like if we had an EI or GH. Like 8.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly, like the letter A, precisely like that. You're absolutely right. You have, the OI, just like you see it in our English word oil, right? You don't say oil, you say oil. So, oil. You have wheat. This is the one that is throws. This is the interesting one. The fourth one down is a UI. And it's not ooey, it's actually like a W. We.
Like French.
Yeah, like we French. That's the idea. So UI is actually we. I'm gonna put a word up here. Get rid of my other words. What? So, based on that knowledge, how would we read this word? Weos. Weos. That's the word for son. That's a simple word that's ascribed to Christ as an attribute of being God's son. He's the weos of the theos. So, that's the one that's really going to throw you. The others are fairly straightforward. I'm sorry, I can't do that. I'll write the rest over here. Al is just like cow. The OW in cow. And then finally, two more. Well, the last one is fairly self-explanatory. OU is just like double O. Oftentimes, like it is in English, we use the same thing. OU is not pronounced AU, it's pronounced oo, food. And then finally, you have this last one, EU, which I will erase more of my business. EU is also food, if I'm not mistaken. Or in this case, they use a U, the same sound, ooh, comes out of your mouth. Rude, food. So, is everybody tracking so far? How these pronunciations work? In general, I know languages are a pain, and they're the bane of seminarians' existence. I will just tell you that right now. It's by far the hardest part. So, that's how these work. Those are the important things. The alphabet and the diphthongs are what's going to matter when you're reading the words. All these other aspects that you see on that chart are not important right now. Some of them you won't need at all. There's a few, the iota subscript helps down the road in identifying certain participles, but it's not as critical at this point. So, I want to read a little more Greek. I'm going to write some words up here and see if we can pronounce them. Anyone like to take a hack at this word? Sorry, afraid not. Not Jehovah. So what sound does this make? G. Hard G. Okay. Got epsilon, so G. G. Okay. Then you have another hard G. Okay. Then what do we have here? Giga. So far, that's what we got. Giga. And then Nen. Nen. This is giganen. Giganen. It's an aorist participle of he knew. So it means that he knew something. It's a verb. So, I'm trying to show you some of the more involved words. I know there are some words in here that are 40 syllables long. So, I say that. That was hyperbole. Just there's not 40 syllables. But there are some long words. There are some long words, and we're going to get used to those. Let's try and read. Everybody have a sheet like this and is able to read it? For the most part? Okay. Okay. Let's try and take a hack at John 1:1. Take all the time you need. Please. You have it memorized? In Greek? All right. Okay. So what's this first word? N.
In.
Okay. What's the next? Nope. What's the next word? Arche. Arche. So you got 4 letters, right? In our second word. That's a row. So how would we pronounce this? Arche. It's two syllables. And then you'll identify that it's just something that I know where the syllables are and you don't. It's just something that comes with time. Again, you just read enough of it, you see it. So R-K. In R-K, in the beginning. Nope, not quite. Aim. Aim. Close enough. There you go. Aim. What's our next word? I'm going to pick on Maya first, and then I'm going to move to Somebody else. That's okay. So, and what's your fifth word here on the top?
Logos.
Logos.
I
Excellent. Okay. Who wants to take a crack at the next 4 or 5 words? Anybody?
Hey, doesn't say.
Zane, I feel like it's been too long. All right. I'll let you go. Rebecca.
I.
Kai. Okay. Is everybody following where we're at right now? Okay. Kai. Ha. You just saw this word. Logos. Okay.
Ain.
Ain. Sound it out. Pros. Pros. Okay. Next word.
What's the T word?
T-O-N. Ton. Ton. Okay. And then we have theon. Theon. It is theos, but here it has an N on the end of it. As we go, and we'll learn in coming weeks. So Greek is highly inflected, and what that means is that Greek is the reason Greek is a pain and it's complicated is because they have 40 different ways of using the same word and implying a bunch of different types of moods and tenses to each word by changing a couple letters. So this is down the road, but theos, this is what they call the nominative. The nominative version. We're eventually going to learn about. This is its accusative form, theon. There is theo. Eventually, all of this means God. It's the same word, but they have different cases. Nouns have different declensions and different cases in Greek. That's what your lexicon is for. That's when we're going to have lexicons. That will show you where all of these are. So if we were doing an academic class, you'd have to memorize all these declensions and be able to recognize them, but we're not doing that. Yes?
When do we get those?
The lexicons, I'm hoping next week. The vast majority of them should be here next week. And we'll get those together. And we're going to teach everybody how to open and use and find words in the lexicon. So, that being said, well, that doesn't help you if you can't know how the alphabet works and know what the word sounds like. So, okay, we're at theon. Okay, everybody up to theon, about halfway across the top of the page here.
Yep.
Anyone want to take a crack at the next couple words?
Theos and
Oh, hang on. All right, Zane.
Isn't it Kai Theos in Logos?
All of you're absolutely right except for the middle word. Kai theos, hein, logos. So this letter here, A, this is the long A sound. This is eta. I'm sorry, I keep writing in the corner. Eta equals long A. It's all right, we're gonna get there.
Where is that?
Right now, we just read Kai theos, hein, ha, logos. That's about 2/3 of the way across the top of the page. So Kai theos, hein, ha, logos. Kneel. I'm picking on my front row because I know these guys are the most zealous for learning Greek at this time. So, what's these last couple words at the end of the first line here? Yeah, these are different. Anyone want to sound out that first word?
Oh. But it's
Utos. That's it. Utos. So there's one of your diphthongs, right? O-U. Remember, we don't pronounce that au. It's u. Utos. Utos. I'm adding a H on some vowels. That's just a pronunciation thing that Greek does not have an H. It has the tiny little comma that you see above certain vowels. Like if you know this word ain that I've harped on, ain. This one right here, just eta, new, as it appears in a couple times at the top of the sentence, that technically has an H in front of it because of the tiny little comma that's above the letter. But that's not important, that's not critical to understanding the language, that's just pure pronunciation. So if you hear an H come out of my mouth, that's not critical and important to looking it up and understanding a lexicon. That's just a pronunciation thing. But there is technically an H in that word.
So what's the little squiggly above that?
Yeah, that is an accent. So if you look here on the alphabet chart, if you look here on the alphabet chart, you'll see there's this box called accents. The middle one has that little squiggly line, and that's all it is. This is an accent mark. So if you see it in a larger word, like here, the very second word at the top of this line, arcade, that has a squiggly line. So it's not arcade, it's arcade. It's just accent. That's all it is, just pure.
Does it change the word itself? or-
No.
No, okay.
Yeah, it never does. There are maybe 3 words in Greek that will change if the little apostrophe H that I'm talking about, that invisible H is there. It happens maybe, I can think of 1 word right now where that happens in all of Greek. So that's not critical. That's something a lexicon will quickly fix. So, okay, so we're at hutos. I'm at this word right here. I know it's hard to see, but I'm about 3/4 of the way across the top of the page. There's O-U-T-O-S. What's our next word?
Ain.
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 What's our next word?
N.
Neil? N. Rebecca? Then we got arcade.
Arcade.
Arcade. So remember they got that long A sound here. And then cross. And then that's the last word on the end of the
Oh,
N.
tongue.
We can process that pretty quickly.
Okay.
What's 2 a week? Once upon a time.
Okay.
It's your kindergarten.
Catching on kind of after they say it.
Mix the decliner also.
yeah,
All right. I'm gonna go to the second line now. We're gonna read the second line. And this time, let's pick somebody, if you could, otherwise, don't give them any hints, anybody. Don't sound it out. I wanna see what we got here. I'm saying if everyone, for the most part, I know sounding it out, but when you think about it, you want to do it verbally, you want to process it, but in this case, let me pick somebody and see if you can sound it out. Do I have any volunteers for the second line? All right, Mom.
I had a question.
Oh, yeah.
The very second word,
The second word on the first line?
yeah.
Okay.
That one word that means to the beginning.
RK? A-R-K-A? Is that the word you're talking about?
That means the beginning.
It means beginning.
2 words in English.
I'm supplying the definite article. The isn't technically there.
Oh.
The most wooden if you want to translate this in just straight wooden Greek, it would be in beginning there was, or it was the word. In beginning, it was the word.
Why did it change?
This is where English comes into play, because there is a point where we just have to smooth out some things in English. That's why your English Bible has a the there, it has a definite article there, not because we're necessarily changing or altering the translation deliberately. It just, in our language, in English, you always put definite article in front of beginning. You would never say in beginning, go, you sound like a caveman. So,
But then why would it say it was if we say there was? Like it was makes it seem like it's something. Like, you know what I'm saying? It
Yeah.
says in the beginning was the word, but that makes it seem like in the beginning it was the word. You know what I'm saying?
yeah, well, I mean, that's welcome to translation. That's what
Say big word when few words.
That's what all, for centuries and centuries, there have been people fighting over translations and trying to pick which the best way to translate the Greek most accurately.
So do they make Bibles that are just
The most
straight,
rough wooden-
like it's in English, but it's just straight?
You want a Young's literal or an interlinear.
Do they make that?
That's about what that is. It's about as close as you're going to get to just the most roughest Greek there is. And it doesn't sound good in English because that's just, our language is a lot younger
But
than
if
their
you know
language.
the verse, that could be really helpful in understanding it. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, absolutely. And that's part of it. That's why we need to learn Greek. So, again, I mean, and like you say, adding a definite article in front of the beginning is not going to drastically change any theology. It's not going to vastly alter any crazy part of our understanding of Scripture. But these are things that we know, that are helpful to notice and realize as we translate Greek. All right, second line. Any volunteers? Second line. Come on, somebody.
They are.
Theon. Absolutely, you got it, Mary. Theon. What's the second word?
That's still one of my
Let's see if
first.
somebody else. I'm sorry. You gotta let someone decide to start. I know you guys is, yeah, I know you guys are rough and ready to learn Greek.
That's okay, let them keep going.
Okay.
Let's call our shot.
Huh?
I thought it was an R, but it's a.
Okay, so on the second line, I'm on second row, second word. Second row, second word. Anybody? I'm sorry? Ponta. That's it. You got it? Ponta.
And then is it die or D?
Maybe D
It ain't your turn.
in this case.
That was a question, Maya.
At this
Asking if your answer was right.
The point that, and what's important here is that if you don't get every vowel exactly, I know I'm harping on it a little bit, but it's going to look exactly the same in the lexicon. It's not going to matter when you say die or D, it's going to be in the same exact place in the lexicon. So this is just proper pronunciation at this point. But, and honestly, as I was telling some of them earlier, there are some points in some Greek and some letters where we don't know how to pronounce it. We just don't. Everyone that used to pronounce it is dead now. So we just simply don't have the exact pronunciation, we have to guess. So some of these, in Hebrew that's even harder, there's a lot of discussion, not about how to translate Hebrew, but how to pronounce Hebrew, because quite simply it's so old that scholars are kind of guessing at some letters. But either way, it doesn't matter, we understand the translation, it's just a pronunciation issue. So, Ponta, I'm on second row, second word, D. Zane got D for us. What's the next word? Altu. Altu. That's it. Altu. And then here's a fun one. Here we go. The fifth word on the second line. A little bit bigger word.
Is it?
Hang on. Close. I think you mixed up the G with the L. So this is the G, this is gamma. So gut is your second letter here. So I got, say again? Agenito. Agenito, yeah, that's essentially it. Agenito. Okay? This is good. We're reading Greek. This is the part of it. This is where you just gotta slog through it and understand how each word works. So, agenito. Then you have your very familiar word here.
What's that mean?
Sorry?
What's that mean?
Agenito?
To begin.
Yeah, it actually, it's not unlike that. It's, so let's see. So it would be, I'm reading from Hutas. This is the beginning towards that God began. All things from him began is the most rough. So agenito does kind of have the idea of beginning. From all things were generated from. It actually technically has the idea of birth to it. Like he created, he generated, he brought into being. He was the originator of the life. So that's the idea here. So it would be all things. Ponta is all. D is from. And then altu is him, himself. Agenito is began, or came from, or was generated from. That's the idea. So all things from him began. Okay? Next word. Very simple word. You'll get very used to this word. Okay, I'm sorry, I'm right after agenito, so I'm on the second line.
Hi.
Kai, there you go. Okay? Next word after that one. It's from here. Choris. 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 So you got here, we'll write this one up here. Here's your first appearance of the omega. That's the first time you have a long O sound. So you have choris. Choris. Everybody tracking so far? Okay. So far, choris. Next word. Altu. Altu. You've seen that one already. All right. What's our next word? Just saw that one also. What's that? I think, yeah, we might be adding a syllable here, so let's sound it out. No. Okay, let's pronounce this word. What do we got here? Then, toe. Again, and toe. You following so far? Again, and toe. Again, and toe. So, this would be, and without him was created nothing. That's the idea. Nothing. So, what's our next word after again and toe? Second line, middle page.
How do you pronounce that?
What's what? Yeah, well remember, this is a diphthong.
Yes.
Okay? So, who,
Yeah, okay.
okay? And then we got two letters after that. Ude. Ude. You got it? Ude. And then our next word, N. Very good. Okay. All right. Anyone want to take a crack at? So, just for reference, so here's a period, which I believe is the third period. I'm at the end of N here. I'm about 2/3 across on the second
A
line.
regular period.
So in Greek, punctuation is not necessarily inspired. Now, this is scholars guessing. This is scholars, for the most part, making well-educated guesses about how you write this. And what I'll do is in a couple weeks, I know I showed some of you guys some textual criticism, maybe a year ago at this point. But in the actual archaeological manuscripts that they dig up, there's no punctuation and there's no spaces. It's just written like, it would be written like this. So let's say NRK, it would be, and you have to be able to translate, and this is a word and this is a word. So there's no spaces, there's no periods, there's no commas, there's nothing like that.
Was that just save space on the paper?
It was. So they did that to save space on their paper. Paper is a very rare commodity in the 2nd and 3rd century. And also because depending on what you were writing, this was a very important religious manuscript, so it had to be treated with all capital letters. It was just part of the culture as well. It was just, this is the big deal. If you wrote a Roman law, the Magnus laws in Latin, it would be all capital letters in Latin. That had to be carved. That was just the culture back then. So, for the most part, we're trying to understand where the punctuation is. It's not necessarily inspired, but it is there to help. So, use it, read it, but if it's going to alter something or you see where it may affect the translation, just bear that in mind when you read it. Tracking so far? Okay. So, but the period is exactly the same in English as it is in Greek. The comma is exactly the same in English and Greek.
So they do have them, they just don't use them in the.
Yes. Yeah, they did use them, they just don't appear in Scripture
Okay.
as they wrote Scripture.
I was always under the assumption that they didn't have punctuation at all.
Yeah, it was rare, and everything was rare back then. Unfortunately, reading and writing, period, was just rare back then. If you were really, really gifted and important, you were big stuff if you could read and write in the 2nd and 3rd century. So it was assumed that you knew what you were doing if you wrote back then. Okay, but as far as punctuation goes, we want to read it as is for now. Okay, so I'm at 2/3 of the way through the second line. Everybody good so far? Everybody tracking with me? If you need a drink or something, you go to the restroom, go right ahead. But I'm just trying, we need to understand how to read the words. That's all I'm trying to get done tonight. So, okay, so next word after ude, him, on the second line, about 2/3 of the way across the page, there's a period, and then we have one letter. O, which is pronounced, how's it pronounced? Ha. Ah. Ha. Remember that Omicron, what's your long O sound in Greek? Omega. Omega is going to be O. Yeah. Omega. In fact, there are places in Scripture where you see, if you see, especially in the Gospels, where they use exclamation points. They say, "Oh," or something. Alas. Oh no. Woe is me. That's what they use. Just the letter Omega. Oh. Just like we say in English, oh man, when something happens. Same idea. But this is the short O, so it's just ah. Okay, next word. Gegonen. Yeah, gegonen. So let's sound, just so we're clear, I'm going to sound this one out. Okay, so I'm on this word right here. Okay, let's sound this out. What we got here? G. So, g. Okay. What sound does this make? Ah. All right. All right. We got our short O. Ge, ga. Nen. Nen. So, yeah, the V's in. That tripped me up for like 2 semesters.
I mean, just think of it as upside down.
Yeah, I know. I'm glad that you have a brain.
The R and E is what's going to be, but if you leave a little bit
The
off
Y
of
being
it,
the D
then
is
it's
what's
wrong.
in the
Yeah, the Y, yeah, there are just some things that you just gotta get used to, like the Y is G, the N is, the V is N, the R is P, things like that. That just comes with the territory, unfortunately, of knowing Greek. So, gegonen. What's our next word? N. Okay. N, E-N, N. Next word? Alto. Okay, remember here, what's this last letter at the end of this word? Omega. And what sound does it make? Oh. Right. So, alto. Alto. Good? Okay.
It's a long, it's an O and then a hard E.
Hang on. So, what's this next word here? We've got Z-O, Ada. Zoe. Bonus points. Anybody? Does that ring a bell? Life.
I'll remember a little.
Life.
How long ago was that?
That's good. Life.
Long
That is the word for life. You know, word zoology from that, the study of creatures, animals. If you ever do vocabulary, for those that ever want to do vocabulary, if we get to that point, there's a lot of, Greek is very helpful in that regard. There's a lot of similarities in Greek and English that you'll pick up on. Theos, theology, zoe, zoology. Philos is the word for love, philosophy, or the love or wisdom. That's the idea of that word. So the Greek is helpful. It helps you a lot more than Hebrew does, I'll put it that way, when it comes to understanding vocabulary. Hebrew is an Eastern language. We have no connection to Eastern languages whatsoever in English. That's not where our language was derived from Greek and Latin. So you are on a good page in as much as this comes vocabulary-wise. Okay, so we got Zoe. What's our next word? Hain, right? Hain. Everybody got that? And then we have Kai, which is, what is that word? What is that? And. It's just and. And then next one? A. And then Zoe. Okay. Before we leave, I'm going to give you the very basics of vocabulary so that you see there's a lot of very common words here. Kai, you've already seen several times. That's just and, also. You know, like A and E. You'll see a lot of these single letters, so you'll just see the omicron by itself, or the eta by itself. That's actually the, that's your definite article. The cat, the ball, the house. Instead of a house, a cat, a ball, the. Just put THE in front of the letter, or in front of the word. That's all that is. So we're good for a couple more?
Sure.
Okay, I'm gonna keep plugging away. Third line. Me and Maya and the manager will stay here all night. You guys, the rest of you have to work tomorrow. All right, third line. Anybody, do I have any volunteers for the third line? No, not the whole thing, just a couple words to start out
Of
with.
the third line?
I don't think we count because we're automatically volunteering.
Anybody?
We have to say one word at a time.
Hang on, guys.
We're gonna zip the list.
Thank you. Okay.
We're not answering anymore
We're in a pit stop.
right now.
I'll submit this after class.
All right, guys. Third line. Aim, good. Ta.
Huh? Okay.
And then what's this third word? Anybody?
Anybody?
No, not this front row. Oh, what was that? Phos. What's that? What's that? How do you know the difference between and O? Oh, it's omega. That's it. Hey, I mean, that's it. You got it. Phos. Phos is light. The word for light. Phosphorus. Or photosynthetic. Photo. Phos. Phos. Next word. Tone. Okay? Well, okay, here's a fun one. You might even be able to identify this word when you read it. Yeah, okay, so I'm on the fifth word over, third line down. Anybody? Hey, Mike? Yep, anthropone, that's it.
David did it.
Bonus points. What is anthropos?
Man.
Man. Anthropology. Anthropone. This is one of those things where it's correct. In the lexicon, you're going to find anthropos with the O, with the omicron S at the end. This is just this is what in Greek they call a genitive singular, or excuse me, genitive plural, derivative of anthropos. So there's other things that go with that we're going to get into after we learn letters and the pronunciation. Next letter, or excuse me, next word. Chi and ta. Ta, just as a side note, that's another definite article there. Most of these really small words, one or two letters, are going to be some kind of definite article. So ta is another definite article. It's another one of those things where the definite article, there's actually a dozen different V's in Greek. They all mean the same thing, but some of them are genitive, some of them are dative, and all that means is they may mean from thee, or to thee, or in thee, things like that. We'll get into all that when we go to lexicons. Okay, so chi, ta, and what's the next word? Anybody? Not this one.
You gotta talk louder.
I mumble because I'm not sure.
Maybe say folks.
Phos, that's it. You got it. I feel like I should be on the Price is Right or something. Phos. Okay, next word. In. Tent, okay. There's another letter here. Let's pronounce both letters here. We got an eta here, T and an eta. I'm on the third line. I'm about halfway to the middle here.
Tay.
Tay, that's it. Tay. T-A, tay. All right, here's a fun one. Next word. I'm sorry.
Scotia.
Almost. You're missing. There's an I in there. There's an iota.
Scotia.
Scotia. Scotia.
So it's not pronounced like Nova Scotia. It's not like the T-I-N-ish.
There's not really like a sh sound in Greek. Yeah. There's no sh. There's no J. Soft G. There's no sh in Greek really. So it's Scotia. And just as a note of thumb, something to bear in mind. Unless it's a diphthong, unless it's one of these 5 or 6 diphthongs on this page, you pronounce each vowel individually. So it's Scotia. Scotia. So each individual, so that also answers your question. Each individual vowel is pronounced unless it's a diphthong that is stated right here. Okay, now we got this next word, Scotia. I want to finish this phrase because this is a fantastic phrase. There's 2 diphthongs here. What's that? Fine. Fine. This is great. So I'm going to read this to you. So I'm in the third line, halfway across the page. Chi, ta, phos, in, te, scotia, fine. And the light shone in the darkness. Scotia is the darkness. Scotia is dark. Darkness, shadows. Fine is from phos. They're very similar. You'll note there's just a couple vowels. There's vowels and a couple letters added. So there was light and it shone in the darkness. So that's Greek. Scotia is darkness. close as light. And then, we'll finish the end of this line and we'll call it for the night, because I know people want to go home. Be respectful of people's time. Who can pronounce these next words?
Where are we?
I'm on the third line. There's phos in te skatia phine. I'm about halfway across the page. Kai. A. What's the next? Scotia. You just saw that one. Got
Got it already.
alto. Alta. Remember, you got that omega there. It's not an omega at the end. It's a omicron at the end, so it's technically a short O. Who? Yep. Who?
And then.
Got this funky word here.
I don't know how to pronounce it.
Okay, that's great. Let's stop here. Let's look at this word. Pretty sure I spell it right.
That's 11?
That's how it looks to me.
Okay. So, what we got here? Cup, right? Ka, te, bin. So we got katelabin. Katelabin. This is a compounded verb. That's why it's a little bit bigger.
I was gonna say it's not Italian, and then I realized where the two countries were located.
It's funny how that works, isn't it?
Right?
So, and this is and the dark. You see Scotia there again. And the dark does not. Who, that OU there is a negative particle. It just means no or not. Did not understand it, comprehend it, able to process it. That's the idea of that verb there. And then with that, this last word, this is beginning a new sentence, but we're not going to go through the entire sentence. What's this last word? We got.
So they quietly in the
I know.
middle period.
Let's sound it out. Okay, what we got? G, egg, N, et, It's a short O.
It's not Italian.
It's not on like, so it's not again a toe, it's again a top. Again a top. So, John goes on to describe the beginning of man from God in the next verses, but we'll go ahead and call it for the night. Does everybody have a basic idea of how the language speaks, how it talks? Are we seeing?
Can you go back 4 words
Sure.
from that last
Okay.
one we just did, Eganeto, and then,
So I got again, so I got
Looks like-
Katelabin.
yeah, it looks like auto.
Yeah,
A-U-T-O.
it is.
How did you pronounce that?
So this is a diphthong. It's A-U, ow. So if you look here on your diphthong chart, you'll see about halfway down you got A-U. It's pronounced like cow. So owl, top. You got the T, right? And then you have that short O. So ow top. Ow top. Any other questions? Any other thoughts? Any other comments? Yes.
Every time you see those two together, it's a diphthong.
Yes. If one is right after the other, yes. Every time you see A-U, that's a diphthong. Every time one of these little letter combinations comes up in a word, that's a diphthong. So, any other questions, thoughts, comments?
You didn't mention vowels, is that,
Well, these are the vowels. You have alpha, that's your vowel. You have epsilon, e. You have an I, you have iota. You have omicron, O. You have a U, right, upsilon. And then you have, what is this one? This dummy, omega, which is O. O. So there's technically 6 vowels in Greek. I'm sorry, I forgot one. There's 7. What is
that?
eta? What is eta? So, eta is the, what sounds it make? A is the long A. So remember you have your short A, alpha, and then you have eta, which is A.
And
So,
which one is like interchangeable with one?
the omicron and the alpha sound the same. Father, just as you would say father, or omicron, Let's see what he's got here. Not is the word that he uses on this sheet. It's just a ah sound. So, any other questions, comments, thoughts?
When writing down translation, would you recommend writing down the actual letter or what the letter sounds like?
The actual letter. You need to know the actual letters. Yeah.
It's basically just that one case.
What's that?
It's basically just that one case.
Yeah. Right.
That.
Yeah. No. Yeah. Now, is there no more questions? No other thoughts? Comments? Okay. So, if you would like homework, I know there are some.
I very much will.
Okay. What I recommend is you take this. You learn the alphabet. You learn the diphthongs. That's my recommended homework. You learn the alphabet. You learn the diphthongs. And to practice, you just read this. Just go down it line by line, pick a section, just start sounding out words. That's what I recommend. Just take this home, start looking at words and trying to figure out what it sounds like, and use this to help you understand it. Does that make sense? So, everybody got one of these? Okay, so there should be more than enough here. If you get to the bottom, start back at the beginning. There's plenty
There were
of.
a couple people who wanted to share.
Now, well, what I want to do is hopefully by the end of this class, whoever wants one of these, I want to take one. This is a Greek New Testament.
Yes. Yes.
When I know I can speak it.
I want to read the Bible.
Okay. Well, I know eventually you're going to get tired of reading this page. So
Yeah.
here is,
Yes.
this is a copy of, this is the majority text, if I'm not mistaken. This is the text of the King James Version. This is what it was trained, yep, underlying the authorized version of 1611. This is a fantastic text. There are more critical texts you can get, more modernized texts. It's like a difference of 5% or less in terms of the Greek language, and there's just a lot of other stuff there's a lot of other scholarly stuff. I'll bring one sometime, a critical edition, and I'll show you what the difference is, but this is scripture. I mean, this is essentially scripture as much as we're going to get it from the original autographs. So, everybody that wants one, please take one. If I run out, I'll bring more. I'll get some more. So, any other thoughts? Any other questions?
Is this a whole chapter one?
I have an inter.
This is the Gospel of John, chapter 1 on page.
And I think it's the
This is John 1 on page. All right.
King James.
So if we're done, then I'll close in prayer and we'll run out. Dear Father, we thank you for this time that we can come together. We can seek to understand more about you through the language from which you were communicating. Thank you for that gift. I thank you that you have given us so many resources to do it. I thank you for the good friends and fellowship that you put in our path and in our midst, that you would bless all of us as we go out from this place, that you would enable us to be salt and light in the rest of the world, that you would enable us to preach your gospel and your word. And I pray this in Christ's most holy name. Amen. Thank you, guys.